I think part of the problem with the place is that it's a reflection of what's happening in our society. If somehow we could deal with this issue of the splintering of information, the fact that people get a narrative that reinforces whatever their bias might be. And so very often we find ourselves at odds because we have a different set of facts that are the foundation of the conversation. That has to change somehow. And this place ought to be one of the places where we can at least agree on a common set of facts. We're supposed to be smart people that aren't moved by the sort of siloing of the information that comes before us.
A downhill, there's a descent into money in politics. I have authored, co-sponsored every last form of campaign finance reform. The Supreme Court certainly didn't help with Citizens United and cases before that, but Citizens United has allowed all of this dark money. It's a system that we would associate with banana republics.
We need to spend more time really communicating and listening to one another, and a lot of that is lost in the busyness of the day.
I always try to lead by example and set a good example of people for my colleagues and people back in Delaware, who watch what I do. I think the other thing is actually to have leaders who understand what leaders are all about. Leaders are. I have a mantra, a speech I give about leadership that would fill up the rest of this interview. But we need leaders who bring all the right qualities to the job and demonstrate that. Leaders are humble, not haughty. They have the heart of a servant. They understand their job is to serve, not be served. Leaders surround themselves with the best people they can find, and when their team does well, the leader gives the credit to the team. There used to be a Frenchman, a philosopher named Camus, who said that leaders are purveyors of hope. And I get up every morning hopeful, and I urge other people to do that as well. I hope I set a good example.
Well, part of it is I just think that there ought to be a notion of people ought to treat others the way they want to be treated. I want, when a new Congress sets up the rules, I want the old Congress to set up the rules before they know who's actually going to be in charge. I think that there are opportunities for us to have a more humane schedule. I would put my foot down in terms of people, and I don't know how you do this by rules, but have people who are hired just to be political flacks and not do actual policy work. But part of that can come from the top, having legislative leadership in both parties taking a firmer line about performance, and individual members of Congress not supporting people for leadership positions who are not providing the leadership that we think need to happen. And it's easy for, a geezer who's got one foot out the door to pontificate, because I know this is hard. And I know the politics are serious and the stakes are high, particularly in a time of Trump. But I think there's more we could do to humanize it. And I think there is more work that rank and file members can do to enforce norms that are more civilized.
We need to make it okay for members to have their families here with them in DC. Families serve together. Families serve together. So members of Congress get elected, and it's their spouse, oftentimes, is the one staying at home and on a random Tuesday night getting yelled at the grocery store because their spouse voted in one way or another. If you had families here, you then see the human element that is so missing from our current dialogue and debate of understanding when you're dropping your kids off at daycare and you have the courtesy of your friend telling you that your child just got sick on your shoulder, on your suit that you just put on, they know that you're a human being. And missing that piece of it here means that we just come here, we battle, we put our armor on and we battle, and we don't know that who's on the other side. What are they concerned about? What are they fighting for? What's a little bit of understanding of their life that you might be connected with? And just because they're liberals versus conservatives doesn't mean that there isn't this human element where you can actually work on something that affected your life, that affected their life, or that your constituents have unified concerns or challenges. That's the piece that's missing. And understanding the humanity here, that we do have to work with individuals as they are, where they are, and to make this place function.
I think campaign finance reform would help a lot, because one of the reasons why senators on Thursday afternoon tend to scatter is that senators are leaving for one of maybe 2 or 3 purposes, or some combination of these. Trying to get home, which is understandable. I certainly like being home if I could on a Thursday night or a Friday night, and being home for part of the weekend. But a lot of it is senators are leaving to raise money. That's the reality of American politics today. That was not the case 25, 30 years ago, and dramatically so before that, not the case. We need campaign finance reform so senators and House members don't have to spend as much of their time raising money. That adversely impacts the Senate.